First time.
Hi everyone, Mechanid here. 3.0 is upon us and it's not looking good. From missing war gear to vanishing power fists, gambits galore, there's so much to cover, I don't even know where to start. So with that in mind, let's kick the hornet's nest as hard as we possibly can by commenting on the SN battle reports, the ugly, the bad, and the good video. My name is Mechanid, let's get started. While I find the overall video fine and the majority of it is largely unobjectionable, there are a couple of points that I want to discuss. Now, I want to make it clear that I have nothing against Pardo and the SN Battle Reports team. I've never met them, and I'm sure they're all perfectly nice people. I've watched a couple of battle reports of theirs, but it's not really my style of video for me. I'm more of a Heresy era kind of guy. However, I want to use the points that Pardo brings up in the ugly, the bad, and the good video to help illustrate my feelings towards the wider Heresy 3.0 discourse. So to reiterate, this is not an attack on Pardo or the SN team. This is me using their video as a jumping off point to discuss the wider topics. I've linked their video in the description below, so please go check it out in your own time. All good? Let's get on with it.
We're going to start with the ugly, and we think that the game has lost a bit of flavor.
This is perhaps the understatement of the year. Consoles have lost their ability to take Terminator armor, bikes, and jump packs, and while you can still put a jump pack on a Centurion, this is a massive loss that has invalidated hundreds of armies and list building ideas in one fell swoop. Warlord traits are gone, rights of war are gone, many units have lost war gear wholesale, Tartarus Terminators can't even take power fists anymore, something they come with in the box. They can take power weapons, but they can't upgrade to power fists anymore. This shows a fundamental lack of understanding from Games Workshop as to what the Horus Heresy is about. Putting aside the massive anti-customer issue, it's about building and customizing a unique and personalized force, making something that is completely your own, that can be represented and played on the tabletop as well. But by removing all this flavor and function, it's hamstringing the creative spirit of the hobby. The tactical sandbox that is the Horus Heresy has received a significant blow, and this is exactly one of the reasons why I left 40k in the first place. The fact that the games designers limited options to the contents of a box, or less so in this case, and not letting players be creative with their modeling, and letting those creative modeling choices be reflected on the tabletop. What we see is a limiting of the hobby freedom. It is GW telling you that you have to build and play the unit the way that we want you to. Never mind the fact that they sold you the product in the first place, and now they've deliberately invalidated it to force you to go and buy more. It's a really scummy move.
This is a very, very different game to what you guys are used to.
Here it is, straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Pardo has mentioned that he or his team have played 20 games of 3.0, and even with a battle report going up the same day as this video. This is just more proof that GW was lying when they said that no wholesale changes had been made to the system. Now, the important thing here is that I was right once again, but that besides, I think that people would have been more open to change if GW had just said, yeah, we are going in a different direction with this edition, and here it is. Players always want something new, and they love to grapple with and understand a new system. But by playing cute and dropping hints and not working with or talking to the community, GW has soured the start of this edition for myself and many others. By pretending that 3rd edition was going to be similar to 2nd edition, and then that being revealed to be a lie, is just another straw on an already straining camel's back. Now, different is neither good nor bad, it's different. However, if all the players are crying out for an update of 2nd edition, and GW throws the baby out with the bathwater and starts from scratch again with 3rd edition, then it's reasonable to see why so many players are so infuriated. It's just another note to prove that GW is out of touch.
Now, for the bad, and it's actually very bad. So there's been a lot of rumors of equipment being left out, units missing. The Javelin Speeder, which everybody used with this specific loadout, the las cannon and the multi-melter, well, you can't have a multi-melter anymore, so it's time you snap them off and put the heavy bolter, which the model brings.
Right here, I think this example with the Javelin Speeder is most telling. Right here, what the model brings. This is GW's way of telling us to buy the new kit and to remake our armies. In short, to spend more money. The Horus Heresy is a sandbox, a chance for players to make fantastic armies with loads of customization, to make something truly unique. But 3.0 has eroded that customization and invalidated people's armies. This is a massively anti-player act, as it wastes people's time, it wastes their money, and it wastes their effort, as it's likely that people modeled their miniatures that way so that they could then play with them on the tabletop. Further examples include the Angel's Tears Blood Angel squad that can't take rotor cannons, the Headhunter squads for the Alpha Legion, they can't take combi weapons anymore, and I'll bet we'll see many more examples as the rules come out. This is a huge misstep as it detracts from the diversity of the game. It makes the pool of options shallower and overall worsens the longevity of the game by giving players less options to try, not to mention the amount of wasted time and money. It also makes it harder for existing players to make the jump from 2nd edition into 3rd edition. Just think about it. I could play Heresy 2.0, where all my models and rules are still available, or I could spend more money, rework my collection, or buy new models and rules and everything else I need to make my army viable in the new system. By doing this, GW has created another hurdle into getting into their own game and shot themselves in the foot. And it's clear why. GW wants your money, and they're willing to invalidate your existing models to get it. No wonder they brought out so many new console kits just prior to this edition starting. Also, on a side tangent, this part really rubbed me the wrong way.
And the one that's hurt me the most is Tartarus Terminators can't have power fists. We've got 40 Tartarus with power fists.
Now, I get that Pardo's doing a bit here, like he's playing it up for the camera, while making a point about how 40 of his Tartarus Terminators are now invalid. But if you think about it, if you got those squads direct from GW, that's £57 each. So if I find out that I had just lost £228, I would be fucking livid. That's nearly 2 days' pay for me, just straight down the drain. And I think that any players who are in a similar position are well within their rights to get very fucking angry. And this is by far the biggest sin GW has committed here. Players who have spent money and constructed the models with the parts provided with the kits that GW made, mind you, the kits that GW has sold to them, only for the company to turn around and say, oh no, that doesn't work anymore. You're gonna have to buy more models, sucker. Like, what the fuck? Like, actually, what the fuck? I can only hope that GW will be providing refunds for all the players now that they can't use their models in tournaments and official events anymore.
You know the drill, it's not looking good and it's gonna be a bumpy ride. We are hopeful that the likes of Games Workshop do follow it up, and hopefully we do see a couple of more PDFs highlighting these changes later on.
The PDF problem. Right here is another big issue. Day one patches and the fix it after launch attitude is a toxic attitude for companies to have, and this blind hope only reinforces it. This is exactly the same attitude I've seen in the video games market. The acceptance of developers pushing out buggy, non-functional games that they then fix as time goes on. We saw it with Cyberpunk, with Halo, with Fallout 76, and loads of other games. With all of these games, people just tolerated it because it's okay, there'll be a patch eventually, hopefully, please. I can't believe I have to say this, but if you are selling a product, it needs to work on release. We wouldn't accept someone selling a car without wheels and the dealership promising to bolt them on later, or a builder promising to put the roof on a house later. So why are we tolerating GW taking things away from us, selling us an incomplete product, and then offering them back to us piecemeal later? It's crazy. And if GW thinks that this product, 3rd edition, is fit to ship, then that's even worse. It's just another sign of how out of touch they are. And also, the same goes for the PDF units from last edition. They are completely absent from the new rulebook. Pardo is right when he says,
some legions are a bit lackluster.
So many legions had cool or interesting units released in the PDFs. Why not roll them into the main book? Just look at the difference in the amount of units between the Salamanders and the Blood Angels. This disparity here could have been completely alleviated if GW had just made the Legacies units into the mainline book. They had them right there. Right there! All they had to do was to add them into the main rulebook. It would have been that easy. Oh, but Mechanid, what would GW release in the PDFs instead? They'd release new units, more stuff, you lazy bums.
I needed that.
Yeah, 3rd edition makes you want to drink heavily too, pal. I don't find much to discuss in the good points, so let's just hammer through them.
One of the best things that I like is that the pace of the game is actually much faster, which is good because that means you can play 2 games in a day or just have a faster game.
Pace of the game. I'm not sure about this. What I've seen, it's likely to be slower with things like challenges and gambits grinding the pace of the game to a halt, with players having to play a whole mini-game before they can actually fight the challenge. However, this remains to be seen, and I'll report back after I've had my first few games. On a side note, I don't find faster games to be a universal positive. I think that players should be seeking out a better quality of game rather than a faster game. Bear with me here. Just as a thought experiment, would you rather in the space of one afternoon have 2 games that were okay or 1 long game that was really good? I'm fine with a slower game if it means that I get a more in-depth and more engaging gameplay experience.
Another thing is that the books are written very, very well. It's much easier to look for things and find things.
Finding things. This is great to hear. I hope very much that the designers have learned from 2.0 and can format properly and make their books easier to navigate. Good stuff there.
The big thing in 2nd edition was reactions. A lot of people didn't like them, a bit too powerful on some occasions. Now, those have been limited this edition, which...
I can't say anything about reactions, as I've yet to see and fully understand how reactions can be limited in 3.0 and how they are implemented. If players are limited to 3 reactions a phase, for example, that's what my playgroup's house rule, for example, then maybe, but this is another wait and see. What I have seen is that a couple of reactions are very unimpressive, such as the Alpha Legion and the Blood Angels reactions, and they don't measure up well at all to their 2.0 counterparts.
Vehicles, for example, are now back in it, a huge part of the Horus Heresy game, and they are now back in action, much more resilient, much better, cheaper in points on some occasions, and we are absolutely loving it here in the studio.
In regards to vehicles, this is something that I just don't believe. With ranged weapons dealing more damage and more consistently, I can't see how vehicles are going to be better when it's more likely for them to be killed at ranged. Just for example, in 2.0, a single melter gun getting through is likely to kill a predator, but in 3.0, a single melter gun getting through is guaranteed to kill it. I hope I'm wrong here, but again, I just don't believe this.
So a big shout out both to the rules writers and the testers. The rules testers, you've done a great job in that, so well done. A little clap from all of us.
Sure, mate, definitely. On a serious note, until we see these test games and understand the feedback that is given to Games Workshop and how it is implemented within these development test games, I'm not inclined to give any slack to the rules testers. With how big of a game 30k is, you would need hundreds of test games with thousands of alterations to get even a taste of all the possible outcomes and data you'd need to properly start doing testing. So in this sense, I don't think GW does anywhere near enough testing or as in-depth testing as is necessary to fully test a game like 30k.
Variety in list building as well. I think that it's the new list building way actually gives for a lot of variety.
Yes, there is now more variety when it comes to list building and constructing your army, but it has come at the cost of the individual unit variety and a lack of unit options. Yet again, GW giveth, GW taketh away. It is baffling to me how GW continues to shoot itself in the foot like this. We could have kept unit variety and kept unit customization and got a better list building system, but instead we had to lose something that we all really liked. So, Speaking for myself, I'd rather have lots of unit customization and a more rigid list building system. That way the units can be more personalized and it's just a matter of how you put them together into an army. Conclusion. I find a lot of the discussion around 3.0 to be both very interesting and very worrying. I have always liked these hard and complex discussions as I find them engaging to talk about, but I worry that with such a negative sentiment, it could see many players leave the hobby, which I don't want to happen. Overall, while I want to see where Heresy 3.0 goes, and if it will actually get better, these leaks and battle reports of 3.0 just cement my resolve to keep going with the 2.0 content alongside any 3.0 stuff that I make. I find Pardo's videos to be quite lackluster, unfortunately, and he doesn't do a good job of illustrating the points that he makes. Every upside comes with an equal if not bigger downside, for example, and I can't abide by GW wasting people's time and money like this. Furthermore, I don't understand why GW is being treated so charitably. They are a monopoly, and have been making models and rules for longer than I've been alive. They have hundreds of years of combined experience in this industry, and they routinely make blunders of massive proportions. They are out of touch with the player base, and they continue with anti-customer behaviors. Whether it's stupidity or malice, I don't know, and quite frankly, I don't know which one of those is worse. But despite all my problems with Games Workshop, my biggest problem is with you, and me, us. The customers. If you are one of the people that is letting GW get away with this sort of anti-customer, lazy product development, slop pumping practices, then you are just as much at fault, if not more so, than GW. And I'll hold my hand up and say, I've contributed to the problem as well. I've absolutely let GW get away with these sorts of things in the past. Just for example, I got all the books for my Knights and AdMech for 8th edition 40k, just to have them all invalidated a few months later. Same from when we went from 9th to 10th edition. I've done all that. But one of the ways I want to go about rectifying that is by making these sorts of videos. My solution for these problems are twofold. 1. Make your voices known. Let GW know that this is unacceptable. Through forums, online discussion, and comments in YouTube videos, if they'll actually turn comments on, or on Facebook and on Twitter. We need to let Games Workshop know. If they don't hear us, they are likely to continue on in this way. I would encourage you to write to Games Workshop to let them know your thoughts and feelings. What I am not telling people to do, and I want to make this very clear, is to attack, harass, or otherwise intimidate anyone mentioned in this video. That includes GW, that includes Pardo, SN Battle Reports, anyone. Don't fucking do that. This is about having a reasonable discussion about something that we all care about. And, by the same token, don't dismiss the arguments that you hear just because someone is being angry or using words or dialogue that you find inflammatory. We're all adults here. We can tolerate some swear words. I want to encourage people to vote with their wallet. Don't buy from Games Workshop, buy from third-party sellers, don't pre-order, and don't get caught up in the FOMO. Encourage your local game stores to run 2.0 or first edition tournaments or events. Play the game that you want to play, and show some love for the systems that you like. Don't just tolerate the slop. It has never been easier to find other people to play with, so get out there and get some games in. 2. Write your own rules. Make up house rules and play the game that you want to play. The core rulebook is not the Bible. You can adjust, tweak, or make full-scale changes. I'll be making a video later on the house rules that me and my mates use for 2.0, so stay tuned for that. Find the best way to play, the way that suits you. And for the record, if your favourite way to play is 3.0, then great, I'm happy for you. But just because you've found something that you like in 3.0, and you're free to do so, don't try and stop people from criticising or making changes to that edition. No one is trying to take anything away from you. Well, except GW, of course. Bloody war gear stealing fuckers. That was a lot. But I wanted to get all that off my chest. And while it may seem crazy to get this worked up over a game of model soldiers, I care about this hobby. Not just because of the time, money, and effort I've put into it, but also for the friends, the moments, and the good times I've had as well. Hell, I wouldn't be here talking to all of you if it wasn't for Heresy 2nd edition. I'm going to keep making 2.0 content in the YouTube Shorts, and maybe some full-length videos as well. 3.0 rules analysis will follow when I get my hands on the full rules, as I hope to God GW can turn this edition around. Or if they can't, it'll be all gone in 3 years, so roll on 2028, baby. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below, and stay tuned for more. My name is Mechanid. Thanks for watching. Same with when we went from 8th to same for when we went from 9th to 8th. Fuck's sake.